Hi, are you ready to learn my 3 ways to know if you don't love yourself? I'm Debbie Clement-Large. I'm founder of whyfollowtheherd.com. I am a life and leadership coach, but not a traditional one. I meld life coaching and spiritual psychology. So if you are ready to learn the 3 ways to know if you don't love yourself, then let's find out what they are. So let's have a look at the first way. The first way to know whether you aren't really in love with yourself is, how do you talk to yourself? And that's a difficult question to ask because we are so used to the way we talk to ourselves that it becomes very habitual. We are so used to it. It's just, we might even hear the voice of our mum or a dad or a parent or a teacher or a caregiver in our minds, and it feels so normal and natural, but it's just habitual. So one really, really good way to know whether you like yourself, whether you approve of yourself, and even if you love yourself, is when you look in the mirror. Now, in the mornings, as part of your routine, you will undoubtedly look in the mirror at some point, whether that's even just to brush your teeth. So when you see yourself in the mirror, how do you feel? What do you say to yourself? Do you automatically look at the bits you don't like about yourself? Do you find yourself criticizing yourself? Not liking your skin or your hair or the hair color or the way your hair is falling or even the wrinkles? Now, we all get them at some point. But how do you feel when you see them? You see, when you love yourself, you love and accept yourself as you are. Now, we've just talked about our face so far, but what about if you've got a full-length mirror? What about if you see yourself? What about if you see yourself naked? How do you feel? Do you like what you see? Are you criticizing yourself? Are there bits of you that you don't like? And it can be easy to focus on the bits we don't like. And even so, we can feel a distorted element about. We can see our thighs as being bigger than they are, or our tummy as being bigger than they are. Or we don't like the way we talk, we don't like our lips or our hands. It can be anything. And we can see an exaggerated version of what they are. We can think that our bottom is huge, when really it's not. But our perception of it is. So if we find ourselves criticizing ourselves, and yes, lots of people do it, but does that make it the right thing to do? The more we can let go of that internal criticism that we wouldn't necessarily give to anybody else. We wouldn't criticize anybody else in the same way that we criticize ourselves. We see our imperfections and we can be really harsh with ourselves. So we know if we don't love ourselves when we criticize ourselves all the time, when we don't like what we see, we don't like what we hear, we don't like who we are. That's one way to know that there is some wonderful work that we can do on ourselves to move ourselves into a place to loving ourselves a little bit more. In the second way, we can have a tendency to put other people first. We see other people as being more important than us. We put their needs ahead of ours. Now, in some instances, that can be right. If we have a baby, maybe it's in danger or crying or is hurting, then we might want to go and provide support and love to somebody else. But what I'm talking about is that when we feel we want to break, we feel we want to give ourselves some time, but we can see and feel that other people are needing that, and we automatically go to look after their needs before we look after our own. When we see If we put ourselves in a priority list with our family, that we saw everyone else's needs as being more important and we are bottom of the list. And that happens a lot. And if you find yourself doing that, you know you're not alone. You're not alone. But is that right? We can learn that it's selfish to put ourselves first. We can feel guilty for putting ourselves first. Is that you? Have you experienced that? I know there have been times in my life when I have. And it can be easy to think that we're there to serve. We learn to be helpful and useful to other people. Now, I'm going to tell you why it's really important to put yourself first. Because when we give ourselves some time out, when we give ourselves a bit of space, that we nurture our needs, that we enable ourselves to feel that we've got some energy, we've got something to give somebody else. That means we have. You see, if we tend to everybody's needs but our own, at some point we'll get to the point of being on empty. We'll have nothing to give. And when we try to give, when we've just got no inner resources left to give, we become resentful. We can become angry at other people. We can become frustrated that we're having to see to their needs before we're seeing to our own. And that's not the right way to live. But when we can give ourselves maybe an hour a week for time outs for us, when we can do something that feels nourishing for our soul, that can be anything. It can be exercise, reading a book, having a lay-in, going out for a walk on our own, whatever you like. So in that hour of giving ourselves some time out, it's amazing how much better it enables us to feel. And when we feel good, when we feel that we have nourished our own soul, we feel like we've got more of us to give to other people. So it's not something to feel guilty about. It's something to feel wonderful about, because you are supporting yourself in most fantastic ways. So the third way, to know whether or not you are in love with yourself, is to think about how easy it is to say the word no. It can be really, really difficult for some people. Saying no can make us feel wrong, can make us feel not nice, can make us feel bad. We can feel guilt. We can even feel shame. We can feel many different emotions. But no sometimes is a really good thing to be able to say for us. So I went on a call with somebody because they wanted to share some information with me about the business that they do. Now, if I was really honest, in my heart, I didn't want to be on that call. And I could feel that there was an element of slight resentment, a little bit of grumpiness with being on that call when I had other things that I really, really wanted to do. And in that moment, I wasn't honoring myself. I wasn't showing myself love because I wasn't saying no. And as soon as I said no, and I cut the call shorter and just said, I really got other things that I need to be going on, but thank you for your time. And you can say no in a nice way. It's not about being aggressive, but it's about expressing our needs in a way that reaches somebody else in a heartfelt way. Look, really, thank you for your time, but I can't at the moment. I'm honoring myself by saying, no, actually, I'm going to put what I need to do first, but I appreciate the offer. Or I don't want to take you up on what you're offering. Or I don't want this situation to continue any longer, so I'm going to say no to this. I want some change. It can make you feel really good when you can get into that place of doing what feels right for you and saying no if you need to. So practice saying no. Even look at yourself in the mirror and say no. How does it feel when you say no when you're looking at yourself? Does it feel silly? Does it feel awkward? Does it not feel right? You might experience some of the emotions that are coming up to let you know what you can work on, what elements within you require healing. We all need healing in different ways. And now is your time to think about whether healing is the right thing for you in order for you to say no. If you want to find out more about loving yourself and how you can heal your emotions, your attitude, who you are to live that greater expression of life, check my website, whyfollowtheherd.com. I've hoped you've enjoyed this video, and I'm going to practice the 3 things. They're checking into how you criticize yourself, putting yourself first, and taking some self-care, and practicing saying no in a nice way, not an aggressive, not in a passive, but in that balance, having a nice approach to saying no. So please please comment. I'd love to know how you're getting on, what you think of this video, how you're getting on with practicing these, and whether or not you can change. They will enable you to change how you feel about you. It's all baby steps, how we move from liking to appreciating to approving and to loving ourselves. You can do it. We can all do it. And I look forward to seeing you soon. So please subscribe. Have the great rest of your day. Take care.